Hi, my name is Carolyn, and I'm making this in response to a very good video that I saw the other day about Kundalini awakening. And I noticed throughout it was kind of like some signs and symptoms, if you will, that they were listing that a person has had a Kundalini awakening. There's those of us who have known our entire lives that we were born already awakened, like, because we've never had that one specific moment in our life when we had that burst of intuition, or the warmth going up your back, or the tingling. We've had it throughout our entire lives in little bursts. And so this is for the other psychics out there. I was raised in a psychic household, and I have been psychic my entire life. And so I've always been kind of bummed when people list the Kundalini awakening signs, because I have never gotten to experience that oh my God moment, because it's always been there. So what I wanted to do was quickly redefine the word awakening. I think for us it would be more like episodes. An episode of spiritual alignment instead of an awakening. Okay? So I want to talk a little bit about the 7 energy centers of the body. We have the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the sacrum, and the root, and you probably recognize those as chakras. I just don't particularly like the word chakra. I don't like all the big fancy fluffy terms, because I think that it kind of intimidates some people, especially like me, because I had no formal education in that department. But so the crown is where we get universal knowledge from. That's where it's the thing that connects us to the divine, our higher self, and allows us to experience the whole God thing in whatever form that we choose. And that's where we get this channeled information. And so one of the things that someone was mentioning in this Kundalini awakening signs and symptoms video was getting this download of information. Okay. Anytime that you speak with deceased people, anytime that you get the messages of, say, your cousin Barry was involved in an accident, and I'm just going to bring that one up because that happened to me when I was 5, and it was my deceased great-great-great grandma Angeline that gave me the message. That's going to be where that comes from, was from the crown, okay? Now, the third eye is inside your head, but it's kind of located behind your eyes on the inside, okay? And that is where we get the visions. That's our dreaming box. And that's how we astral travel, okay? If you've ever had a near-death experience, God bless you, first of all. I'm glad you're still here, okay? That is what keeps us connected in this body. The third eye being open and healthy is what keeps us connected in this body, so that we have a chance to come back, okay? And I'm going to quickly say, in reference to that, we are in control of our bodies from the time that we form our body in the womb until we exit the vehicle, whenever that is, okay? So there has never, ever, 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 ever been a person who died at any age who did not choose to die, okay? Because at any time, if we have one foot in the ethers and one foot here, okay, all we have to do is release that connection in the third eye, and then we rise up to the crown and we leave, okay? And that's how lots of times when people have a near-death experience, or they have a remembering when they died in a former life, that's something that I've had. They remember dying and going up, and that's because we come out of the crown, okay? Okay, so moving on to the throat chakra. Ooh, I said it. Somebody write that down, because you ain't never going to hear it coming out of my mouth again. All right, that one is about expression, okay? Music, writing, painting, drawing, speaking, all right? People think of throat, they think of speaking first, but it is any form of expression. It's all artistic expression. It's all loving fearlessly and expressing, the deepest love that you have, okay? So when you are having one of these episodes of spiritual alignment, okay, that's what we're going to call it instead of an awakening, okay, you might have a muse, an artistic muse, an inspiration. You might have a burst of, you could sit down and write an entire book in one sitting. I've actually done that once. Came out like 173 pages long. And so when we're going to get down to the heart, I want to mention one thing real quick. We have two hearts, not one, okay? Spiritually, etherically speaking, we have two hearts. We have the giving heart, which is pink, and we have the receiving heart, which is green. And the green one is the one that we most often see on the, you get a plethora of information on the internet and in books, right? The green one is always listed, but the pink one is not. I think I've seen the pink one in one place, and, I'm 49 years old. That, and I've always seen pink around people's chests, especially when they're giving, they're working for charities, they're donating to something good in their heart, is lots of pink, okay? And the receiving heart is the one that we deal with when we think of bitterness and jealousy, being green with envy, yeah. But the giving heart is, when we give ourselves away, and there's lots of people who give themselves away too much, especially moms, because we are devoted to our children. I used to walk around with a giant pink bubble around me all the time. I don't love my children very much, but I was giving myself too much. I made myself very sick doing that. So we go down to the solar plexus, which is in the high tummy area, okay? And the solar plexus is what we call the gut feeling. You see it on the chart as being yellow, and if you've ever heard the term yellow belly, then it's, you're talking about someone who's a coward, But that's we're supposed to listen to our instinct and listen to our gut. That's what that's referring to. Okay, so, and I'm mentioning all these things, and you should, you might know them by now, but when you're putting it into the context of a spiritual alignment, you're going to think, well, when was, what triggered me when I had that episode, that time in my life, when I had a burst of energy come from this specific area of the body, okay, where you might have been in danger. That's a big trigger for the solar plexus, obviously. So the sacrum is the lower belly, and it is all about boundaries. It's all about yes and no, okay? And our true power, the power of creation, is the power of yes and no. Because everything that we choose from the time that we begin to exist, which is before birth, until, and of course we live forever, but everything that we choose, and whether it's yes or no, is going to create our entire world, okay? And the universe, what it wants us to do is to have peace, okay? And so it's going to create everything that we need to make peace with ourselves, okay? And for some people, that means creating disease and illness and pain, okay? Because they are blaming their self. And they are judging their own self, okay? And the only way that they can balance that out is to make themselves hurt. Waving my hand on that one too, because I've survived cancer twice. I've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which I'm long since gone over. I divorced my ex-husband and suddenly I wasn't sick anymore. That should say something. And then the root, okay? The root energy center is the hot spot of life. It is, that's where our sexual organs are. It's not only about sex, though, It's also about survival of the species, okay? So if you've ever had, again, that inspirational urge to save a life, or, now I used to be in the rescue squad. I did it for 6 years. Or if you've got this thing that you want to save the planet, that is actually in the root chakra, okay? And, so it kind of bugs me that there's some spiritual people out there who are good teachers, by the way, but they start encouraging us to, think above the root and everything, and I'm like, why? Because it's an equal part of you. Equal opportunity. I want to say employer, but it could be destroyer. It depends, it depends on how you look at it. But, okay, so when you are psychic your entire life, okay, you never have that one big burst of things opening up and you feeling things. You have these ones your entire life, okay. I remember being 2 years old, 4 years old. I remember being born. I remember the delivery room. I remember being born. I actually remember being inside of my mother, although it was not a visual, I don't have like a visual sight of being inside of a room, but I do have the emotions that my mom was feeling. I remember her being extremely careful with me, and I didn't know why. I didn't know actually until about, 40 years later that the doctors had advised her to abort me, because I was supposed to kill her. And then, but she was very careful, and she carried me for a whole 8 months, okay, and they took me out of her at 8 months to save her life and to save mine, and is so I mean being psychic, I think I was really blessed, because not because of the whole psychic thing, because that can be a pain in the really big ass sometimes, but being born into my particular family, who was very supportive, very blunt and straightforward, and helpful with all these answers when I came to them. It allowed me to have those little spiritual alignment episodes, not have anything. I'm gonna back up. I did have one when I was 13 years old. I was homesick from school with a fever. Okay, lots of times you may have triggers that open you up a little bit wider and a little bit wider. A lot of those times are hormonal, so you may have hormonal things trigger your spiritual alignments during teenagehood. If you're a woman, that could be during pregnancy. If you're a man, it could be teenagehood or becoming a father, or the emotions of when there's empty nest, when the kids grow up and leave the house. Same thing for moms. And then, of course, the wonderful menopause, which I like to say men-o-pause, because ain't nobody going, no, don't touch me. And that's something that I get to experience right now, because I'm 49. I'm about to be 50. I'm about to be a grandma. Let's see. Anyway, that thing when I was 13 years old, I was homesick from school, and I was playing a Barry Manilow record, and I was in the next room, and then the record started to skip, if I remember. And so I came down the hallway to fix the needle on the record, and I opened up the door, and everything fell. Everything in my entire bedroom fell, which means that everything in the room was floating, And so I actually called my mom at work, and I explained to her what happened, and she rushed home. And, she sat with me for a minute and said, this is something that happens in our family, and I'm sorry that it really hit you like this, but I want you to know that it's perfectly normal, and you're not crazy, and you're okay. So yeah, I had a lot of support from my family, and it really helped having that. And so when I raised my kids, I raised them with the same bluntness, openness, because I knew that they would experience it as well, and to different degrees. I have 4 different children, and each of them have experienced those spiritual alignments in their own way, and not one of them has had a Kundalini awakening, and they're all adults now. So I just want to say that if you're one of those people you've never had an awakening, you've been psychic, intuitive, extrasensory, just extra your entire life, I want to say you are perfectly normal. You are no less a person who's ascending than anybody else. We're all in this together. Yeah. Okay? And thank you for putting up with my uniform, because I'm at work, and it's the only time I got to do this. Okay? Thank you. Bye.